Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel where we buy and rip open packs so you don't have to. Listen, I'm telling you right now, if you're into Lorcana, or have you ever been just a little curious about what the game is about or the direction it's heading, I promise this is the video that you want to watch and you don't want to miss out on. We just got hit with a ton of different announcements and major updates coming to Lorcana that just came from Ravensburger, the game's creator, and it really gives us a crystal clear, vision and look on how serious they really want to take the game right into the future. I'm telling you right now, and I'm gonna die on this hill, 2025 is going to be the biggest year in the game's history, just because of the different formats that are coming and the different changes. It's really going to shake up, competitive players and just how we look at Lorcana as a whole. So we're going to break down all the major events, so starting with the first ever Worlds event. We're going to take a look at the 3 big sets that are coming in the next couple of months. New format, which is called Infinity format. And then the first ever set rotation. What does that really mean and how can it affect competitive play? So it's going to shake up a lot. Whether you're a competitive player, you like to play regularly or just casual, a lot of things are going to change. But the long-term vision for Lorcana is looking to shape up as a top-tier TCG, like Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, and Magic. So Lorcana is here to stay. So like I mentioned, whether you're a casual player, collector, or you're looking to get into some of these tournaments and really grind out those promos and the prizes, there's something here for you in this video that's going to affect you moving forward. So go ahead and smash that like button and be sure to check out all of our other reviews. We do a lot of pack openings and set reviews. So the reason why we do this is so then it gives you guys the opportunity to decide if you want to invest into that set or into that game. So with that being said, let's not waste any more time and jump into our first major announcement, which is going to be our first ever Worlds event. So kicking us off is going to be the Disney Lorcana Worlds Championship event that's happening this June in Walt Disney World. This is super exciting, guys. I first things first, right? And I have to say it. I wish it was a public open event. Unfortunately, it is not. It's an invite only, bringing together all the top players around the world who qualified in a lot of the Disney Lorcana Challenges event, which I get, they deserve to have that VIP experience. I just wish that, Ravensburger did a better job of creating some kind of public side events, because I think there's a missed opportunity, especially for the first ever Worlds events. But listen, Lorcana is literally taking a seat alongside these major TCGs and coming up with the first ever World Championship. As you know, Magic, Pokemon, and Yu-Gi-Oh have major tournaments throughout the year, and they've been doing this for decades. So being Lorcana is now taking a step into that realm is really exciting, especially it tells us the future of Lorcana. So they're setting the tone right now that could be a yearly celebration to the game's best players, decks, and the best moments. So imagine going to Walt Disney World, and if you love the card game or love this card game or love other card games, and being able to win, promo exclusives, custom mats, being able to interact with some of the commentators and watch some of these live games, it literally, I think, checks the box for a lot of us, especially if we're Disney fans. So it's starting to shape up to be its own esports identity. So for players that are watching at home, this gives you a goal right now to build something towards. So whether if you want to either, qualify for the next Worlds, if you just want to learn a new formats, or just win some locals, these new major updates is really going to bring even more people to the game. And the community for Lorcana is already huge, but I feel like it's going to just get even bigger as this year comes to a close, late, obviously with the major updates, and in 2026. Like I said, I just wish, they did a better idea of structuring the first ever Worlds, because I would I live here in South Florida. I would love to go to the first ever Worlds, say, hey guys, I was there, 10, 15 years from now, but, what can you do? But again, everybody deserves to have that VIP experience, especially for individuals that don't live here and have earned their spot on the top as the top players in Lorcana. So, maybe in the future we'll be able to go to a public event, a Worlds event. Hopefully they make it public. It'd be great if they did it in like the castle, or if they did it like in Epcot, just because there's so many different pavilions. But that's just my 2 cents. Hopefully they Ravensburger sees this video, takes my suggestions. But let me know down in the comments if you guys think that this is a great move by by Ravensburger and Disney to have the first ever Worlds a private event, or they should have done an open to the public event. But I just think it's a missed opportunity. But this is something to consider in the future as Lorcana starts to build up all these other events and starts to expand on those World Championships. So let's talk now about these upcoming sets. So that's everything for Worlds. Super excited about that. But let's talk about one of the major sets coming out, and it's called Fable. So it's dropping in August. So that's the date that the original release. This set is gonna have a whimsical, like fairy tale inspired theme from just the artwork and from what I've been reading, and it's a fresh cast of characters pulled, I guess, from Disney's deeper lore. Again, not a lot of announcements on this, not a lot of details, but just from what I've been reading. So we could be talking about lesser known princesses that we haven't seen, folklore creatures, and magical realms that haven't been in the spotlight. So when Fable comes out, I'm excited to see what that's going to entail, right? But the best part is not just the characters, but it's the mechanics. So there have already been some teasers we have seen from Fable that are going to introduce like new story-based interactions, where cards' effects evolve depending on, certain elements. Now, this is all really speculated, right? I would hope that, when more details come out, we start to see more growth in the element and the evolution of, especially when it comes to Fable. So think like synergy-based storylines, and maybe even the cards that reference each other directly or indirectly, like duos or rivals. Again, I think that'd be a cool mechanic, and I know I didn't go into details on what I was just mentioning, but like traps, cards that work together. Either you need both the cards to work to one, like think of like Yu-Gi-Oh, right, where you have fusion cards, right, and then you have a whole newer card that has different mechanics. Imagine something like that in Lorcana. That would be really cool. Traps, I heard, is another one that individuals are waiting for to come to the game. So looking at the bigger gameplay evolution since the game's launch, a lot of things have changed, and it's just going to continue to keep growing and adhering to our competitive play and just the overall fun of the game. So let's keep our eyes on this set. I encourage you guys to keep your eyes on this one. We got introduced to also newer cards in this set called Epic and Iconic cards. So I believe Epic, right, it's going to change up. Epic and Iconic are going to change up the rarity of the cards. So Epic is going to be more rare than Legendaries and easier to pull than Enchanteds, but Iconics are going to be more rare than Enchanteds. Now, this set coming up in Fable is only going to have 2 Iconic cards, which is the Mickey and the Minnie. But what does this mean? Are we going to only have 2 Iconic cards in the future? Are there going to be even more? What do the repull rates look like? There's so many unknown factors that are coming in Fable, but I think we're all excited to say, hey, I can't wait for this set, and I'm gonna jump to this set when it first gets released. So really exciting, and so far that's what we've seen, or what's been announced in Lorcana in the last week at the announcements. So that's one major event one major set that's coming. But let me know down in the comments below, are you excited for Worlds or even for Fable, which is going to change a lot of the mechanics and how we play the game as a whole. But before we get to Fable, we still have another set that's coming out, guys, and it's literally coming out, I think, in the next 2 weeks, and that's really the Reign of Jafar, which is coming, like I said, at the end of this month. This is pure villain energy, right? And this is just the lore behind the Reign of Jafar. Jafar is going to take the center stage in this set, and he's not going quietly, because if you've seen the new game, right, that's coming, Escape from the Palace, right? I don't think that's the official name, but here's the game right here. So if I'm saying it wrong, but you know, just the lore behind it. He's manipulative, he's disrupted, and he's downright warping the game. So a lot of cool cards that already have been released that, you know, definitely are going to play into a lot of these different meta decks. So when it comes to like the lore, because I know a lot of individuals love the lore of Lorcana, Jafar has seized Arcasia's island, transforming it into like a desert, like a treacherous domain with the palace, and it's filled with traps and illusions, which is why we see those illusion characters now. But this narrative shifts and introduces like a darker tone to Lorcana's universe, which is pretty cool because, you know, so far it's been a little bit lighthearted, except for like Ursula's return. And Jafar is posing like a significant threat to the realm. So that's the lore behind this set. But everything has already kind of been revealed, but there's, you know, still things that are being revealed. I think we had some of the last of enchantments revealed earlier today, or I think yesterday. But I think the dynamic cards have gotten really cool. And what I mean by dynamic is like the artwork and just the different, you know, synergy that you can create in this set. I'm excited, right? And I mean, look at the enchantments, right? Here are some examples here and here. The enchantments I think are really beautiful in this set. Like, you can't get better artwork, you know, in a Lorcana set. Like, this is, they keep changing the way they do the art with the Lorcana enchantments. I'm excited. I'm telling you guys right now, and this set is going to be a game changer. So don't wait, you know, don't miss out. Go to your local game store, and you guys can still pre-order it. Definitely pick it up. I think it's going to be super fun, and, you know, especially with, you know, we had Ursula's return, right? We had her, you know, her game. Now we're going to have the Reign of Jafar. So I like how they keep coming out with these different games for the chapters. So hopefully they continue that in the future. So we got our next set that already been announced, and that's Whispers in the Well. That's coming at the end of 2025. The name alone gives off like a eerie kind of mystery vibe. And it suggests, and again, not a lot of information on this, but it suggests that we might be heading into like a darker set. So Reign of Jafar has a little bit of a darker tone, but I think Whispers in the Well is going to introduce more of a darker set. So while a lot hasn't been really officially revealed or even announced, it's just like a brief name. But again, we can speculate on where they're probably going to take it. So the lore behind it is like a new narrative arc where I think the Illuminaires face like some kind of internal conflict or some kind of betrayal. So if you're really invested into the story of Lorcana, I think that's where it's going to go. But there's also hints in the lore that everything in Lorcana is as peaceful as it seems, or it isn't as peaceful as it seems, and Whispers might be a turning point. So this is going to really shake up the, you know, or leave us on a cliffhanger for 2026. So, you know, I'm excited to see where they're going to take the story and just how the mechanics of this game are going to change into the new year. So hopefully things like secret effects, traps, like I mentioned, or whispers, right? So let's use that terminology. They'll activate maybe something in your inkwell or in your hand. So that would be a pretty cool mechanic to bring to the game. Now, I always want to, you know, I want to say this and keep repeating it. It's all pure speculating. I'm not putting anything out there. I'm not saying this is official, but I feel like that's something that could come along in the set, something they're experimenting with, but time will tell, right? So well, as we get closer to closing out 2025, you know, we might see major cliffhangers. We might see those tones as we get into 2026, but we already have some 2026 announcements just from D23. So you never know what the game could hold. I think every set they come out with different mechanics, which I can't wait. So when more of that information gets brought out, I'll be sure to share it on our social media and talk about it here on our YouTube channel. So far we talked about a lot of information, right? We still have, you know, two big areas or two announcements that we need to cover. But before I do that, again, guys, we appreciate your support here on the channel. We love doing these reviews, these pack openings, and just talking TCG with you guys. You know, anywhere from, you know, Pokemon to Lorcana to Union Arena, you know, just, you know, all these different sets. So, you know, we appreciate your support. So don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I hope you enjoy our reviews. Let us know down in the comments, you know, what's your favorite, you know, announcement, or, you know, in any of our videos, interact with them. So definitely appreciate it. But it's time to shift gears now. And let's look at more of the competitive structure gameplay that's changing in Fable. So, because Ravensburger is introducing a brand new format, it's going to be called Infinity Constructed. And I kind of hinted on this a little earlier in the video, but this is just a whole new rule set. And it's a very bold move from Ravensburger to offer more deck building freedom to players who like playing with all the different types of cards. So, you know, with Infinity Constructed, all cards are green lighted to play without a lot of restrictions. You know, so think of like, the best example I can give you is like a modern expanded format, just like other TCGs. So like it could be very similar to like in Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Pokemon. It's still not clear whether this will be like a side format or eventually replace Core Constructed, which I don't think it will replace Core Constructed. That's all speculated. But either way, it's a big deal because we have less limitations and we can use all the cards we want to. And to be transparent, it extends the lifespan of your cards. So cards like those cards that are coming in Reign of Jafar that you love, you're going to be able to use them even after rotations. So, you know, cards from chapter 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6, you know, however, they're always going to be able to use, right? Especially when set rotations start to get in the flow and start to really see more of it. But this creates space for like wild, experimental decks, combo deck builds, control lockouts, and just like weird synergy like engines. So excited to see how Infinity format, excited to see some side events at these Disney Lorcana challenge events. So if you got that deck building like itch, Infinity format is, I promise you, is the best for you, especially if you're looking to gain like traction at like your locals, right? Or just, you know, at your regular card shops. So we might see those side events or that Core Constructed in regionals or in, like I said, maybe even one time in Worlds. That would be great to hear. But this just really attests to like Lorcana and their ever-going expansion for its players, because we have a lot of passionate players in this game, and we don't know for sure, but we do know the reason for this format, and that's because of set rotations. So I think Lorcana did a great job. Well, not Lorcana, Ravensburger did a great job setting up this new format, because we want everybody to enjoy the game and enjoy the rest of their cards, and extend the lifespans like I mentioned. But with that being said, we're finally here. Let's talk about it, right? And that's set rotations. This is something that every mature TCG games has to deal with, and eventually, and it started in Fable. So all the Lorcana sets are going to begin to be rotated out in Core Constructed, which is why we talked about Infinity Constructed first. So notably, chapters 1 through 4 are going to be rotated out, and I think it's every 3 sets that get rotated out. Correct me if I'm wrong, let me know down in the comments below. But this keeps the format fresh, balanced, and accessible, especially for new players. So now I know what everybody's thinking, right? And I've been thinking about this too. Does this mean my cards that I have now become useless? Absolutely not, right? Rotated cards will still be usable, like I said, in Infinity Constructed. So you don't have to retire cards unless they get banned, or, you know, maybe they get errata like the Bucky and they're just not the same anymore. But Constructed, this, you know, we talk about casual play just like in any other format, and it's going to emerge over time, you know, with set rotations. But it does mean you'll be able to start maybe being a little bit more strategic when it comes to set rotations. So you can't use older cards before, you got to use a lot of the new cards from the new sets. And look at what cards are going to create a better strategy and how you're going to play. Because imagine playing the same cards 10 years from now from chapter 1 that have become broken over time. So either A, they're going to become illegal, they're going to be banned, or they're going to errata them. So rather than doing that, set rotations is the answer for all that. So, you know, to be honest, you know, rotations it's really a good thing. I know I wouldn't say we're bummed out. I know I wasn't really bummed out because we already know it was coming. But at least the best thing, you know, this does for us, it stops broken cards and combos, which I just briefly mentioned. but it keeps the meta exciting, and it really creates new strategies on where to shine and without being like overshadowed with like, again, older cards. So I'm really happy, you know, that this is happening. I'm kind of upset that I'm not going to be able to see my Diablo in future, you know, in future gameplay. Maybe I will. Hopefully it doesn't get rotated out and it stays in competitive play. But for everybody watching this video, you know Diablo is too broken, and everybody wants him banned, but I think he's just going to be rotated out. So what do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments below. Are you excited for Infinity Constructed Core, or Core Constructed, or you guys are ready for set rotations? You know, I'm excited to hear your guys' opinion. That is everything I wanted to cover, and a lot of the major updates that were announced from Ravensburger, you know, from Reign of Jafar, Fable, Worlds, you know, Whispers in the Well, and then our new constructed formats. Like I said, Lorcana is growing really fast, and this year feels like it's a big turning point for everybody. Again, I don't think we're just playing a Disney card game anymore. I think we're really watching the rise of a competitive, narrative-rich community for us passionate players here in the TCG space. So let me know down in the comments below, what's your favorite part about these announcements? Are you happy about these announcements? Were you wishing for maybe different announcements? Or are you hyped for these sets that are coming out? Again, it all starts with Fable. Fable is going to start changing everything, especially with the Core Constructed. Or are you just excited to get into Lorcana? Is this your first time ever hearing about Lorcana and, you know, maybe learning a little about it? I promise you this is the best time to get into it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this breakdown. Consider liking this video, subscribing to our channel, and hitting that bell so you don't miss out on any new, you know, updates and any new reviews. Again, be sure to check out my last video, which is right here, where I reviewed the glory of Team Rocket and what I really thought about that set, and we got to see some really cool artwork from that set. So with that being said, thank you all so much for hanging out with me today, and I will see you guys in the next video.